Today on the podcast, I've got Justin Rashadi. Justin is a co-founder and chief strategy officer at SeedX. They're a data-driven growth and marketing consulting firm. This was a fun conversation. Justin has definitely got a lot of energy. He's lived in the trenches of building an organization. He was named 40's 30 under 30 for marketing and advertising. He's generally a guy that has been speaking quite a bit out. And so on this podcast, we talk a little bit about the role of hiring. We talk about AI. We talk about data-driven analytics and marketing. And towards the end of it, really talk about if you're a small startup that's just getting running, what are the things that you really think about and trying to get those things right? This is a fun conversation. Justin's based in Barcelona, Spain, so we talked a little bit about just all the remote components of it too. And so I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I did. Justin, welcome to the podcast, man. I appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excited to talk.
Yeah, so we're into season 4, so I think you're going to be one of our earlier guests into 2026, so I appreciate you making it. One of the things that I noticed about your background that really intrigued me and wanted to have you on as a guest was just talking about marketing and analytics. So maybe why don't you start with just your background and how you ended up where you're at today?
Oh, man. How long is the podcast? Okay, yeah, how far you want me to go back is the real question.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give me the 5-minute version of kind of where, your career and how you ended up here.
Oh my God, okay. I was my family didn't go to college, very traditional family. My dad's Middle Eastern from Iran, immigrated from Iran. And my family, you can only be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer, right? Engineers third on the line, right? This is the pretty standard. So I wanted to be a doctor my whole life. I got waitlisted out of medical school when I applied, and it was in New York City. I really wanted to go to it, and so I moved out to New York City on a gap year, basically. And I randomly, I was a busser, I was a waiter, I was a bartender. And I got basically introduced into an affluent group of people who needed private tutoring for SATs and all this stuff. And I had these students basically ace the SATs, 2 of them. And I grew into having basically a little tutoring company.
Okay.
Yeah, really random. It was my first time actually even having the idea of entrepreneurship. Yeah, that's why I was oh, it's kind of strange. I got a degree in biochemistry actually.
Okay.
I did a bunch of genetic science and protein folding and all this stuff on kidneys and things. And then that was my first idea of entrepreneurship. And so then I was oh, this is so cool. You can have a business. So I basically delayed medical school, and then I started to run online ads. I put a website together. I was doing a bunch of lead gen. I didn't really know I was doing any of this stuff at the time. I was just just doing stuff. Basically that company got bought up pretty quickly actually. And then I had the choice of I got accepted to medical school, but I deferred a year because I was well, I kind of want to just explore. I started to freelance on the side to check out startup stuff. And at that time I was just offering lead gen and different things that was successful for my tutoring company for other people. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it was a company at the time, but that turned into our marketing company. I just thought
Sure.
Oh, I'm just doing this. And it literally just grew naturally from you get results, you deliver the next thing. And then I was telling you before we started, I'm pretty good at just solving problems. And so our team just kind of kept expanding because it's oh, now there's these CRM problems, now there's this tracking issue, now there's this measurement issue, now there's this issue. And our team just kept developing as we were solving problems and as we were moving up market. And that's how I got to where I am today, kind of very randomly.
Yeah. Is there a through line of what you do well that basically kind of informs all those little stops?
I feel stops in my life. No, I don't know if there's a through line in the stops in my life.
Or just the stops in that that business continuum. Basically, I always think that there's a set of core skills that you get better at over time. And each one of those opportunities is really just a stop in that arc. That's how I think about it. And I know that's the same thing for me.
The way I think the core skill that I'm best at is actually understanding the fundamental problem that people are trying to solve, and the ways that they're going about solving it, and then understanding if I think it's an effective manner in which they are trying to solve the problem. I think a lot of people are they focus a lot on heuristics or kind of generalities about ways to solve problems, and so you see a lot of people sub optimizing a solution because they're like, oh, well, like a P&L statement should always be broken up into like these four categories, like, your cost of goods, your operating costs, like your marketing, and then you have a profit. And if you organize them all the same, like you're going to like win. And like, actually, like that's a suboptimal way of thinking about like a P&L statement.
Yep.
And so there's like lots of these like small problems that like I'm good at like deconstructing or something like this. And then like figuring out how to like reconstruct like actually like what metrics are good and how to put together and what systems. And I think I'm really good at system engineering. Like I'm really, really good at like both like software systems, but also like people systems, like operating systems.
So what I hear you saying is like you're good at problem solving, but you're good at doing it in a systems thinking way.
I think so. Like I fundamentally see myself like going across like different types of systems, whether it's like HR, finance, marketing, sales, like, and they all in my brain feel very similar. Like they don't feel like they have like a different flavor. It's like a different salad, and it's like all the same lettuce and different dressing or something.
Sure.
Like they feel similar in my brain.
Yeah. And do you think like how have you gotten better at those things though? Like, is it patterns? Is it seeing more examples of it that basically has made you better at doing that?
Yeah, it's for sure reps. I mean, it's a mix of, I mean, I have to think that a majority of it is just like at bats at the problem. Because there's for sure times where, and I don't know, I'm obsessive thinking in this way where like, there are for sure times where I've made the wrong decision and I think about it. I'm like, why did I make
ruminate.
Like what? Yeah. Like I can't stop thinking about that problem. And like, they don't come up very often, but like, I think about like a few client ones where like, we really just missed it. And I'm like, why did we miss it? Like, what was like the thing that like I took for default that I shouldn't have taken for like default? And I think about that a lot. And then like the next time it comes around, I'm like, okay, we are not taking like this very specific aspect for default because like, and I think like those small ones kind of come up and most of the time they're small. And so you can like quickly adjust, but like every once in a while they're big and you're like, oh, I really missed that one. Yeah. And so, yeah, at bats for sure, I think.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's good. So let's maybe bring this back and say, if we're thinking about early stage founders and they're thinking about marketing, they're thinking about analytics, this world has changed so much in the last, 10 years, right? Like, and I think it just continues to change. Most of our stuff is in B2B. So when you think about a lot of the channels that generally have worked historically, cold emails, outreach, that sort of stuff, those are the things that are not working nearly as well as they used to. And so, I think all of our founders are trying to find other ways and other channels and other methodologies to do it. And I think they have a tendency to do it on the gut level, right? Did that work? I got a couple leads. But we don't think about, what the cost per lead is. We don't think about like how much like the whole infrastructure and the time you're doing it. So maybe talk to me a little bit about how you have a philosophy about analytics in marketing and really in demand gen in general.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. All right. How do I even break this like apart? Okay. So the general philosophy is that most people probably like should be leveraging their CRM. It depends on the size of like the company that like you are. So, okay. Like I guess like quickly, like the very quick advice is like outbound still works. Like the problem with outbound is usually the message is not very good. Actually, like outbound is very successful when like your message is like on point. So like when people are saying like, oh, the message isn't as good, it's like, it's because like your message doesn't stick out. Like outbound still continues to like work. Depending, LinkedIn, here's like quick wins. LinkedIn conversation ads really work. Like actually like link. So a lot of people are running LinkedIn ads using like kind of like download this PDF kind of stuff. But you can actually do like LinkedIn ads where like it hits the conversation ads are really cool. Like it hits the inbox, like you see it, it shows up. And we've been doing like account-based gifting programs using LinkedIn conversation ads. Super effective. I love Google ads.
What's a conversation ad? I'm not familiar with it. So like in LinkedIn.
So like there's like a few different like ad formats. So like most people are used to seeing like InMail. InMail shows up in like the other tab. Like the benefit of InMail ads is like actually the email will hit that person's inbox. Right. So like if you open up your email inbox, it'll look like you have a message, like like it's actually an InMail, and then that will take you to your InMail tab. Then they have conversation, LinkedIn conversation. If you're looking at like your messages, like right above, it'll say sponsored, and it'll show up like right at the top.
Okay.
And these actually convert really well. Or depending on, we have been seeing like solid success with like these LinkedIn conversation ads, both for ourselves and for our clients. So like we run these, like we've been running one for like AI SEO, which is like a big one. And we've been getting people like, so we do this offer, just like, here's like some like cool stuff. Like, so we do this offer. It's like, hey, like we want to talk to you about this very specific topic. This is what we've done. Here's like results. This is what we're going to talk about on the call. And if you get on the call, we're going to give you $150 like AirPods for free too. Most people who
I'm there. Yeah.
yeah. Well, the interesting part about this offer is that the people like so far, the only people who really accept it are the people who are also interested in the conversation to begin with, and that's just kind of like the hook to get your attention and bring them in.
Yeah.
I don't know if people always need to do this. Like we're in kind of a competitive space, but this like really works actually. And then so far, like for us, this has actually dropped our cost per lead to about, or our cost per attended appointment to about $500 with the AirPods.
Oh, okay. That's pretty
and
good.
For us, yeah, it's solid.
Yeah.
It's like usually for like us, like we're around like $1,000+ per single appointment. So like if we are like under $1,000, like it's basically
golden.
Like, yeah, it's a win for us. Yeah. So that has been working really well. Outbound still continues to work, but your message has to be good. And then there's just like things like SEO and Google, depending on like your market. Like it's hit or miss because like it doesn't have firmographic data, right? Yep. And so like I love inbound, but then like I'm like, well, if you're only doing inbound, you never like you don't know if that you're going to hit that exact lead that you want, right?
Sure.
And so like usually for B2B, like you have to have some type of outbound function that's working. And then for us, we also do conferences.
Okay.
Conferences are like still pretty successful, and then we mix conferences. Like this is like our whole strategy. We try to mix like lead generation, 2 calls, plus also like there's conferences where you can invite people into the conference too. And so then we're trying to do like offline, online, like or online, offline, like kind of like marketing like funnel.
So let's go back to so let's look at the outbound component of this. What I didn't hear you say much about is, and let's go back to like an early startup, basically founder. So they're looking for like the first 25 customers, let's say, right? Okay. Like that's where they're at. We really focus on, what's your beachhead, right? It's not the big market, it's a beachhead. It's an ICP within that. And then, like this idea of like, okay, now I got a list. What can I do from a personalization standpoint, right? So going back to the messaging piece, right? AI is pretty good at basically saying, build me a persona of this individual, build me a vocab of what they are using for terms, and then how do they define success within the realm that I'm doing? You can actually build some pretty specific personalization for the messaging standpoint. Have you seen good results on that? Is it like you don't want to go creepy, like that's not what I'm saying, but like when you're an early founder and you're trying to get those 25 customers, you're trying a bunch of messaging and you're not to the point where it's like this is working 80% of the time, so I've got to try some different things. And is there a good way to like do that in a way that then starts to scale?
Ooh, okay, so
does it make sense? I mean, does it resonate with you, or is it like that's not what people are doing?
I kind of just feel like what resonates most with people is a very narrow problem and topic that you want to like specifically talk about. So it's not like this big, like grandiose like thing.
Yep.
So like when I'm talking to like someone like they have this AI startup and the medical thing, it's like, hey, like you spend this amount of time doing this problem. We solve that problem, right? Like, do you want to talk about that problem?
Okay.
I find like that very simple message, like not like grandiose, not like, some like pitch, like very simple, like, do you have a problem? Yes, no. Like, This is how big this problem is, right? Yep. Like, are you interested in talking about it? Like, I find like that as the default template for like all advertising actually, like for B2B, like pretty like good at the very beginning. Like at the very beginning, you're trying to find in-market people who want to solve that problem. Like you're not hitting like the total addressable market. You're like, there's 50 people who have like this exact pain point, and I'm just trying to find like those 50 people who want to talk. Like they call them crisis buyers sometimes, right? Like they're like, they want to solve this problem so bad, and I think sometimes maybe like if you're saying, well, maybe that those 50 people don't have that problem. Like some of the times when outreach doesn't work, it's like, well, like if you're really starting out, like, do you really understand your customer? Yeah. Right? Like, should you be reaching out to, and I think this is where it gets a little confusing depending on like the type of companies. It's like, is it the VP of ops? Is it the VP of this? Is it the director? Actually, like for some people, like you actually need to get into the manager level because like they're your champion and you should actually go from your champion up to the director.
So who signs it?
Yeah. And because the manager sometimes will actually be the champion that brings you up. Right. Yep. And so sometimes we'll actually market to the managers and we'll also market to like the VPs. And like, it's kind of interesting, like depending on the org. And so like when we're talking about outreach, like and like you say, you're just starting outreach, like I'd be thinking like, are you really hitting the pain point? Are you like testing the personas like beyond just like what you think, right? Because an org structure can be like so diverse. And then you're just trying to find those people who are like hand raisers to just get like
a
them on the
conversation.
call. Yeah. Like, I don't think that you need to be like, oh, hey, blah, 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 Todd, like, I saw that you were at Minnesota yesterday. It's like, I don't think no one cares to read that. Like, and most people are like, for all the ones that we see success, it's like very much like, here's pain point. Like, do you want to solve yes or no?
Okay. That's good. I mean, I think that makes it super simple. Yeah.
Yeah, we do it. So like, I message like a few people, like every once in a while I see someone, I'm like, I was on a podcast this week and I literally just messaged like, after I was off in it, like I was talking to them, they're super nice. Like, I was like, hey, like you guys aren't running LinkedIn ads, like this and this and this. Are you interested in this? And they're like, yeah, actually we are. Like, it was like that simple. Like, yeah. Right. It's like, and then I messaged someone else that they're like, oh no, like follow up in 3 months. Like we can't like talk about this right now. I was like, cool, whatever. Like, and I find that very simple messaging more effective.
Okay, that's good. So maybe the next topic to pivot to is the type of people that you hire in this stuff. You know, we were talking about before we got online, before we started recording about generalists and about problem solving, right? And even in our opening, you were talking about how, you know, you're kind of a systems thinker, but you're problem solving within that system thinking. And so as you think about staffing up and building people around you, talk to me about the role of smart people that maybe don't have the resume, but are just good problem solvers.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically trying to find the diamonds in the rough, right? Like, it's like, no, why would anyone work with you? I always tell people that. I'm like, oh, when you start a company, I was like, it's crazy because like you have to get customers to like believe in you, and then you have to get your employee like who's going to co-work with you. It's like crazy. So when I'm approaching, so the way that I generally approach hiring is like I generally have like two different types of hiring, and my favorite way of hiring is like when you actually can give someone a test. And then you can give everyone the exact same test, and then you can actually measure the quality of the response based off just the test. Like, because
it's very
simple tests will actually tell you like everything you need to know about like a lot of people. They'll tell you like, did they turn it, like such basic stuff. Did they turn it in on time? Did they hold the date? Like, you can just tell them, hey, turn it in whenever you like, tell me the date. And people will miss the date that they tell them. Okay, easy. Like, people will miss instructions. Easy, right? Like, and then you'll see like, oh, this person like did these very specific things, right? And then you'll see like who showcased these knowledge, like who was best at showcasing their knowledge through these things. The harder ones to hire are actually ones where like you can't have tests, right? And so these are like project managers or like more esoteric roles. Like these ones, I end up trying to use like, it's kind of weird, like IQ tests or like these weird, like I like these weird tests, like like what are new ways that you would reconstruct an airplane? Or I like this one, like how many iPhones are sold in New York City every year? Or like how would you go about estimating these things? Like how much does like a Super Bowl ad cost? Like how would you estimate these things? Like I like those. Like how would you get to a problem given like little like a small amount of information? I like these types of tests. I know people who pass that like are good like thinking.
Yeah. You're just basically deconstructing what assumptions are you making, and then what's your logical thought process to get there. The answer is not right or wrong. It's basically like, how did you process the data to get to an answer?
Yeah, because no one's ever going to have perfect information, right? And like your team will never have perfect information. You don't want them to always have perfect information anyways. It's like especially in like higher level roles, right? Like you're trying to do decision making with like little and fuzzy information and try to point us in like the closest direction, and you're never going to be in like the perfect like north position, right? And so like usually like we're looking for people who are directionally good at thinking.
Yeah. So when I was at Microsoft, they had kind of both of what you're talking about. They had the, how many manhole covers are in the United States. Like that's the same sort of deal. And then the other one was we would basically get them to whiteboard with us a problem that we had, right? So we'd say, hey, we've got this problem. Like ask me what questions you want, and then how would you start thinking about it together, breaking it down and working through it. And again, this was like, I like that one because it's a problem that I'm familiar with, right? And then you're trying to see if there's any value add. You're trying to figure out how well do I work with this person. And you always like add like an element of conflict, like disagree with them and see how they do. Do they just back off? Do they challenge you? Because I always felt like that was a huge piece, right? I wanted somebody to challenge me. I wanted somebody to like say, I don't understand why you think that way. Because that's the culture that we had. And so, And so I don't know, like as we advise a lot of these startups and stuff, that's part of what we do. They've kind of moved away from how many manhole covers are the United States, because I think a lot of people just get turned off by that. Like, and so maybe candidates, the marketing, the market's still pretty good where people don't get pissed off. But like Google was really famous for this. I mean, there's a bunch of companies that did this really well, and like obviously it worked for them.
I'm glad you actually hit on like disagreeableness as a trait. Like I really like disagreeable people. Like I would say, we had someone leave our company because I think her company was like too disagreeable for her. And she was like like she's still like really nice. I'm like good friends with her and stuff. But I was like, yeah, like this is the culture. Like this is what we want. And I don't know if that's better for worse, but like I really like disagreeable people because like I want our team to disagree with us. Like I think I would also encourage other people to get disagreeable people because those are the people who like have a standard that they think even if like they're wrong, they're going to argue for like a specific like point of view. And I also really like those people too. But,
yeah, I think it goes to an extreme, though, at least in my opinion. Like, are there people that basically can disagree and then come to a conclusion because they know we have to come to a conclusion and then support it going forward? There's a fine line in there between voicing your opinion and then realizing that somebody has to make a decision and then move on, and I'm on board with it, versus people that basically just are subversive or just a low like friction grind because they didn't agree with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is just like emotional intelligence and trying to figure out all these like details. But yeah, I think the hard part, like if you're a startup person, is like if you've never hired someone. So like when I think back about like now, I've probably hired like hundreds of people. Like, and the difference between like the first person we hired and the 100th person you hired, like, oh man, that's what I think about like with hiring for like startups is like, how do you get someone who's like not maybe hired that much, like to really think about these things and that like it's really important. So. But you're working with like maybe some people who've like led teams before, so hopefully they have like more experience there.
Yeah, I'll tell you a quick story that was kind of a weird one from Concur. So I was like an early employee at Concur, and so they basically put you through like a ton. I think I had 2 days of interviews, even when we were small, like in the 40s and 40 employees. And then basically you had to go talk to an industrial psychologist. And the industrial psychologist had a profile of like like 4 or 5 of the founders, like the early guys. And they said, you got to be like one of these types of a prototype of people. And it was pretty interesting. He basically like spent 30 minutes asking you questions, and then he gave you 15 minutes of what you thought, and then said whether you're a good fit for the company or not. We didn't do that for long, but it was just an interesting way to do it. But like that industrial psychologist, man, like over the phone could like figure out who you were and whether you fit that archetype or not. And again, it's not right or wrong, but it did get us a lot of people early on that kind of thought a lot of the same way. And kind of going all the way back to like where we started with, we were all problem solvers. We didn't say, this is not in my job description. We said, there's a problem to be done, and I'm just going to go figure out how to go do it. And I think when you look back at the people that got hired early that had that kind of characteristic, they scaled a lot in the organization and did very well.
Yeah, problem solvers. I love them. Like, yeah. Like we were talking earlier about like the hyper specialists, and like we have a lot of specialists on our team, but I still feel like all of them are, I don't know, like, especially in this, like the age of AI. Oh, am I frozen? You frozen? Oh,
nope, man. You're good. You're good. I got you still.
Nope.
You're still good, man.
Okay,
I got
cool.
you.
I was just making sure. Yeah. I was just saying, like, in the age of AI, like, I see, like, our designers being more developers and our developers being more designers and like, I see our, like, the product people, like, leading. I don't know. I see, like, the emergence of more generalists, like, still. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see.
I guess one of the things I think about that I have a hypothesis on this is people that are actually good at like understanding how to go from A, B, C, and D are really valuable, right? And then AI becomes an accelerator. I have kids in their 20s, and so they don't know how to do all the steps to get to D. What they do know is like just the next step, right? And so I think that like although this is a technology that they're embracing, the ability to kind of understand how to go do anything like from start to finish, that's the important part because you can apply agents, you can apply people, whatever it happens to be, you understand that continuum, and not everybody has that expertise. And I do think that's going to be accelerated as this kind of adoption trend of AI continues.
Yeah, it's going to be wow. I see it like every day we're adopting more of it. And like, I'm like, oh yeah, the expectations of people are going to change so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And so maybe on this topic, like, what do you like? Are you doing a lot of things that are like, I think the tool set's not great, right? Like, I mean, chat's fine, but it's a chat bot, right? And so we're screwing around a lot with like N8N. We're talking about like, how do you centralize data and how do you tag it in like an architectural standpoint? Because I think, you look at a lot of these companies that are even further down the line. I got a couple companies that are, 10, $15 million. They have 100 tools already in their world, right? And all that data is siloed. And so now there's an effort to like throw that into Snowflake and then figure out what you do on top of it. How are you thinking about like all of that data and learning from it as you kind of build on your business over time?
Yeah, I think we're doing like I think about it like well, there's like two. I guess there's like turning your like SOPs into like actionable systems is like one, and then the second one is, and these are the two areas where I see like most value. And then the second one is like information or data retrieval, or like data analysis, right?
Okay.
And so we have been working to like basically build out systems. And I could show you like we're using like we're actually like building out systems for this, because one of the problems that we run into with N8N, and like a lot of the workflow builders, is like they're really hard to actually get other people to use them, and they're hard to like get like integrated into processes. So like we're actually working like a lot on like tooling for like actually like improving this. So like there's this like really cool ones that we're like specifically doing where like now we have like these deep agents that like understand this specific brand, go research like all these medical articles, like write like all like the blogs, like, and it turns like basically like an entire process into like an agent running for like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And like we just started to do this more. Then we've done a lot with like data warehousing, like you're saying, like deep agents pulling all the information out. We have it with like clients where they're doing a lot of like sales enablement, where they're like getting information quickly to the sales team. I think another cool one where we're talking with the company about is if you have like a deep industry like knowledge product, right? So like we're talking to this company and they do like hydro cooling for data warehouses.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
Pretty specific.
Yeah. Like, and so they use like this very specific like process. And so like, almost like very few people actually and their sales team can actually like know this. And only like the founder really has like the deep like, knowledge. And so like they're using it actually for like, sales training and sales enablement. So like that way they can like query against it. Like I see like a lot of good value. Like in those, we use it for like brand guidelines. That's like the most easiest one. But yeah, like the ones where like reporting is like a huge one. That one takes up so much time, and all of that's going to get automated. Like that one's like the first one. Anything that is like, I think, like when we're talking about like B2B marketing, building accounts, like, and providing like deep information on accounts, like that for sure that's like right around the corner, like gone. Like someone doing like leadless building is like almost gone. Yeah, it's gone. Like we just started to automate it like literally this week. And I was like, I think this might cut someone's job. Like this is like pretty good. Like if we can do like this one other thing, it would remove someone's job. Like, and I don't know, like that's just the future.
So talk to me a little bit about the tooling. You're saying N8N's clunky, or it's not easy for a lot of people. I mean, it's basically a junior developer, no question about it. I mean, that he has to go do it. Are you using other tools and using Clay or Apollo to like basically pull information in to build some of that lead gen or kind of lists?
Yeah, like actually, like I mean, like what we're actually doing is like we're building like a competitor to N8N, like in actuality. So like we are running like an internal like incubation, like with like our current customers, like basically building out like I like to think about it as like the HubSpot of N8N. Or like N8N is like a very difficult to use tool. Like even if you have developers, like I have developers who like still think it's difficult to use. And I don't think that like the way that it's built is necessarily like the direction of the future. So like we've been building like a wrapper around like Lang. You know what Lang graph is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like it's like the underlying, like it's one of the like frameworks, like there's like agentic frameworks, right? So like we built a wrapper around like land graph, and then like we've been using that like where like we write all of, like the API like covers, and so like someone can easily like put together an agent, like not with like a million HTTPS calls and like hooks and all this stuff, but like you can just plug it in, and then we have it like connected to like workspaces, so that way like people can just trigger them from the workspace, they can run in the background, because like then some of the problems is like you can. It's like really hard right now because it's like
it is.
you can connect like N8N with Quad, but then you have to like name it like this, and then if it doesn't name like this, and then if it doesn't trigger like this, and like I just like I can't imagine a world, and I don't know if like I always tell people I don't know if we're crazy for building this because like we could just get blown up, but like I can't imagine a world where there's not one unified system that like like brings this all together in like a modernized like workspace.
Yeah.
Because like you're saying, like we're probably like I think about this like network when we're working with our clients. We are more at the cutting edge
Yeah.
than like most people probably.
Yeah.
I was like, I have people who like can't get their CRM correctly.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
thinking about them adopting like NAN and Claude like barbed wire together is like absolutely insanity.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've been starting to like integrate it into Slack. So basically, there's just conditional logic. You got to approve it here, but like, you basically got to do it in the workspace that people are in, right? And they're comfortable with versus going outside of the tools. And so, it'll be interesting to see. I think you're right. It is early days, and it is not really pretty. There's a lot of tools and stuff out there, but it's not easy to stitch stuff together right now.
It's very difficult. Like, and like we have like 4 developers like all doing it, and it's still very difficult. And I'm like, there's just no way the adoption of this. Like, whenever I see like these adoptions, like, oh, we've adopted, it's like, no, like that's like, oh, we spent $100,000 like saying we adopted AI, but like we haven't actually like integrated it into our processes. But it's coming. It just, yeah, like it's still definitely early days. But yeah, I'll send you like a demo of like what we're doing, and
that'd be kind of cool.
All, like,
I guess
yeah, it's interesting.
I'm a little bit more bullish on some of this stuff because I think like, we kind of gave a charter back to our team and said, hey, if you had to automate 40% of your job, what would the tasks be? And it basically gave us a list of things to go look at. And if there are repeatable tasks to go do, like, I mean, there's a bunch of crap with the podcast, right? Like, you came inbound, right? And so I basically sent something out that says, go do a deep dive of Justin's like, social media, what podcasts he's been on, where he's been writing, go look at LinkedIn, and then give me a PDF, right? And so before that would have taken me a long time to sift through all that stuff to say, and then scorecard it. Like, tell me out of 100, how well is he a good fit for what we do? And so, to me, that probably took 7 or 8 hours out of my week of getting, because I probably get 10 of these inbound. And so, like, that's a task that took time away that, yes, you had to go build it. But like, once you built it, it worked out pretty good. Now the question is, are there n number of those in your business that you can just automate and then have people move up the food chain and do higher value stuff?
Yeah, I believe that to be true. I just think like the process that people like right now, the tools available, like again, you're at like the edge of it. Still, like most people still don't know about NAN, and even if they did know about NAN, there's still like 50% of those people who are like maybe even more like who struggle to implement it.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. And that's where I think like the gap, like that's like, I believe like we're going to get to a place where it's going to be super easy to like get these things going. Like it's going to be like, I'm actually like now, like my personal belief, like based on like what we're building is like, I kind of believe that you're going to have agents and workflows. Like you'll have multiple agents connected to you. Each agent will have workflows or skills. Skills will either be a workflow or a API connection that you've done. Like that you've assigned to it, and then you just call the agent and it'll do it, and then it can multi-chain it together. Like I've now seen us do this, and I'm like, okay, like this is coming. Like it's here.
That's pretty cool, actually. I mean, it's pretty cool to see where it's going, and I think you and I probably believe like there's a huge change coming. And I think the people like you who basically are early adopters that are playing with this stuff. You look at all of the incumbents, the people that have all the legacy code, all the legacy tools, it's going to take them a while to really adopt all this in mass and really have an impact on their business.
Oh yeah. And so for us as what we ran into was like we were trying to do implementations with all these stuff, but like if you do it, like you still have it like, well, some people don't use Slack, like some people will use email, like but like, well, this would be like this. So like, is this only good for like the modern, or is everyone going to adopt Claude and then Claude, but then you have to like permission, like you have permission issues and you have adoption issues. And that's actually like where like I'm at from like us, like trying to actually help organizations implement it, is that like there isn't actually enough tooling to help like organizations implement it in a easy to use way where a company feels like they could also take it over. And I'm actually like, my view of like AI is I think that we're going to have AI ops, like how we have like CRM ops. Like I'm a firm believer that we're going to have totally AI ops as a skill. And that like someone will say like who's very process driven and be like creating processes across the org. And I think that a mainframe tool like does not exist still for like the majority of organizations for AI ops.
Yeah, I think that's right. That's dead on. I think that's really smart. So maybe let's pivot a little bit to what this all means. Like basically it's scaling your business, right? And so it sounds like you've gone through kind of a continuum of opportunistically, I figured out some ideas and some things, and then basically I've added people and processes and, like scaling is hard. And so maybe talk to me a little bit about your philosophy on how do you build scalable organizations. AI could be certainly some of the tools that help you get there, but like, how do you think about doing this? Because I think it's messy, right? Everybody loves that revenue and stuff is coming in, and they're getting more clients. Wonderful. But then you got to go execute on all that, and you got to build an organization that's sustainable, and making sure your head doesn't just pop off.
Yeah, this is honestly like one that I think about quite a bit because it's like you're walking a tightrope the whole time that you're running a business. Because like what it actually feels like, I'm like always thinking about this. It's like, so you have sales on this side, you have ops on this side, right? And it's like if you push sales too hard, it blows up ops.
Yeah.
Like, and if you have over ops and not have sales, then you could blow up your company, right? And it's like when I'm thinking about like I think a lot about actually like how to think about cash flow, how to think about like hiring processes. I've leaned a lot more into like scaling organizations. Like you always scale sales first, and you always have lagging pressure on. Like you basically ops always has to be like kind of like
a little bit behind.
Yeah, like
pain point.
Like if you do the opposite, like you ever have oversupply of ops, like you're basically like cutting like your profit and potential to grow. Right. And so like, unless you're like a super VC backed startup where like you're hiring ops, like because like you're going to like do them both at the same time. And that's why you're like VC backed. Like for the majority of organizations, like they should be like pushing sales first and then pulling ops along. And it's just always going to be like 30 or 60 days behind like the sales process. And like I kind of just feel like that's the only true way to run an organization.
So let's just break that down because I totally agree with you. And this is exactly what we advocate as you scale. So you're building a budget that basically says, here's your goals for the quarter. If you hit the goals for the quarter, then basically all the trickle down support stuff, whether it's a support engineer, whether it's a CSM, whether it's engineers, whether it's marketing, basically all is a byproduct of that. If you don't hit it, then basically everybody kind of shifts from that. And so there's a lag to hiring those people and solving them, getting the onboarding and all those things if you need to. But I do think it's the right way to do it. Is there a better structural way that you think about this, or is that it?
I don't know, because I've now done both sides, and like not focusing on sales first, like is such a risk to the business. And early, like 5 or 6 years ago, I was like, we should just hire like 2 more project managers and like this and this, and then like the opportunities will come. But then like COVID happened and this thing happened, and I'm like, oh, like I don't know. I've always gone back to like it's so much better to have strong pipeline coming in, and you like figure out how to like you close the deal, you tell them expectation that it's going to be like start date 30 days out, you run behind, and you're like, okay, like you shift stuff up like around again, and I don't know. I wish I wish someone maybe would tell me a better way to run like a company, but that's the only way that I've ever like found like this is the only way to like be consistently stable.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we did at Concur. I mean, we're basically a sales driven culture from that standpoint. Our performance dictated where the headcount went, full stop. And so
it has to.
It has to. And then I think, the other thing you've talked about that I think is important is you got to be good at hiring, right? You need to be able to have a good brand. You need to have a good pipeline, and you need to be able to pick the good ones. Because if you can get those people in the seats and up and running quickly, onboarded, then they can be productive quickly. And this gap for what the customer actually sees is minimal.
Yeah, I think another like interesting one maybe for early stage startup founders, like someone that you actually should think about hiring sooner is actually like someone to do full-time recruiting for your company.
Yeah.
Like that role is actually like quite important, because like you can get like certain types of tests, and you can kind of like start filling like quick needed roles like almost all the time, right? Like there's roles in our company, like we need designers, we need copywriters, we need project managers. Like there's certain roles like we almost always need, and like we're kind of almost running hiring processes for them all the time. And I think about that like, oh yeah, like some roles like you probably should just be like thinking about recruiting all the time for. And having someone on staff is actually like kind of nice versus using recruiting firms.
So I don't disagree with you. I guess the only pushback I'd have is I feel like sometimes founders or early stage managers don't take enough responsibility for those hires, right? So I always think about, do you have a bench of people that you would hire if you had a position? And so as you have the different disciplines in your organization, are you cultivating that so that you basically, when you have a position, it's a known hire, right? Like it's somebody that you do. Like it's not going to happen all the time, but I think sometimes founders basically just outsource that. And I think that's one of the areas that like you got to you as a founder need to be really bringing in the best talent you possibly can, because that's what's going to accelerate your company or not. And so, finding A players is hard. They're already entrenched. They're already employed.
I guess, okay, like hold on. So depends on the role, obviously, and depends on like the amount of people in your company, and like or in general, like you should probably be hiring like the first like 50 people. But like even at like a certain point, depending on how fast you're growing, like I'm not saying like you hand off hiring. I'm just saying like you hand off the recruiting.
I understand.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, like the recruiting aspect, like I think that like I do think that like honestly, recruiters might even be better than founders at recruiting. And like actually, a lot of people like, and then you should still be selling. Like I was just like selling someone today to join our sales team.
Yeah.
Like and like they got brought in and like I still have to sell them. Yeah, I still have to sell them on the company. I'm like, look, like this is our company values. This is what we want for you. Like this is like how we want like people to like have career growth, right? Like these different types of aspects of like selling the idea of like that their life is going to be better here than elsewhere, right? Like that, I guess I'm saying like you still need to be doing for quite some time until you have like true VP level talent, like selling for you.
Sold.
But like, yeah, like the recruiting aspect, I guess, is the one where I'm like, you might be like, I think a lot of people are like, hey, what friend do I know? And maybe your friend isn't actually the best person that you should be hiring. And you should actually do a little bit more recruiting to get like 20 more different people to like do interviews with. And that's going to give you a better like baseline for hiring. Like most people probably don't have enough people in the pipeline for hiring. And so like they make quick decisions to hire based off of like trust or like some like vibe thingy instead of like, oh, I interviewed like 30 different people. I'll ask them all the same questions. And now I have like a much better idea of like what I liked and what I didn't like.
Yeah, it's a fair point. I think the only nuance to that is, there's so much that goes into those roles, or at least critical roles, and that don't make it into the recruiter's job description or get translated. And so a lot of times what they end up recruiting for isn't really the right candidates. And a lot of it is because they've said, hey, here's a quick job description. This is what I need you to go find. And they do the job well. But like, there's just a lot of nuance that's buried in what that job really could do well. And so maybe the split in the hairs there is you got to put some thought and effort if you really want to use recruiters to basically get good requirements of what's going to be successful in that role.
Yeah, or the type of person. Like we're talking about like how they were doing like case studies on you guys, right? Like we're looking for, so like when we're looking for someone, like we're like in the sales role, like we have a hard time sometimes with the sales role because I was like, okay, like we're either looking for like a really great marketer who has like some type of like wants to kind of be on the sales side, or we're looking for a salesperson who's like great like creative thinking, right? Like and we're open to like either type of roles. And so like when we're pulling in people, it was like literally like because I've never found like, oh, this is the exact same salesperson for this thing. Like it's so hard to find this person. It's like I always find like, okay, the A person can quickly learn sales, or the A person on sales can quickly learn like some aspect of marketing. And that's how we just ran like this last like recruiting hunt. Was I was like, okay, like we want either one of these two people. This is what they look like, and then they brought in those people.
Yeah, that's good. So we're kind of running up on the top of the end of the podcast. If you had to think about some marketing ideas for early stage founders, like pick 3 different things, what would be like the 3 takeaways that you would really kind of encourage them to really focus on as they're starting? And so like, just remember, these are guys that are like getting their first 25 customers. They're trying to figure this stuff out. What advice would you give them?
Oh man. I don't know, honestly. Okay.
Give you a call.
I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe don't call me. It's like, I don't know. My friend has a startup and like, he calls me and I talk about it. I'm like, yeah, man, it sucks. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
It's hard. It is super hard early on.
I was like, just grind, dude. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, yeah, the best advice is like, do you really understand? Like people talk about product market fit. Like the best advice is like when we're talking about, it's like, do you truly understand your problem? Do you truly understand the market's need, like the market problem, right? Like maybe you worked at your company and it was kind of like this problem, but like, did that problem like translate to like 25 other customers, right? Like, if it does translate, like, are they using the same language as you, right? Like, I think like maybe not even selling is like the best thing. It's like getting people on calls and just talking about problems and like understanding the language that they use and like how they talk about it and the structure of the organizations and all these things. Like, I actually think that is probably like, at the early stage is like the most important thing. because then that's very easy. Like once you're like, oh, this person used the word like this and this person used the word like this. And
Yep.
like these two companies and like different industries, even though it's the same problem, they use different terminology for it.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
That's a good one.
There's like, yeah, like these small like nuances that like you don't actually get until you get like tons of reps. And then like, and this is what I'm saying, like when you actually like have those reps and you've had like 10 different conversations with these different things and you understand like their industry and their company size and their revenue and like all these little
Who the
nuances,
buyer
like,
is. Yeah.
yeah, then you're like, oh, like I should be reaching out to these 10 people and say this exact message because this is exactly what resonates with them. And that's how you get like good response, because I'm like, I think a lot of people like they start by trying to use the messages, but it's like, hey, I want to talk about this problem. Like, do you have this problem? Like maybe not even going through the sales process. And like, I would say like, that's the best advice I'd say. Cause I think a lot of people struggle with sales because like there's so much nuance and language between all organizations. And sometimes like when you're doing sales, like if you don't have that down, like it doesn't resonate as well.
Sure. And all these tools are pretty good, right? Think about like you had 10 conversations, you could dump them into anything from, Notebook and, Google or to chat and say, pick out the vernacular, tell me what the words are, give me the translation to like what I'm talking about versus what they're talking about. And it really does give you a pretty good sense of how do I need to message these people in a language that they understand.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, that like I would say like, yeah, like once you do that though, like the sales process becomes so much clearer.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this person, this title, this industry, this message.
Yeah.
And then when we're talking about like outreach doesn't work, I was like, I'm telling you, it works like when you're like this, like
You're
very narrow, like very narrow ICP messaging. Like, and that's what we believe in, like single message, like ICP messaging.
Love it.
Yeah, like it works. And then you can take that and then you can make content. Like that'd be the next one. It's like what, like don't worry about scaling until like you have like a handful of customers and you really can make that like a repeatable process. Like just, I believe in that. Like don't do stuff that doesn't scale like
to start with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once you see a pattern and it's working 85% of the time, then you can start building some stuff off of it. But, it's going to take you a while to fine tune that messaging early on. So I think that's good. Well, Justin, this has been good. I appreciate you, opening your can of worms of all the stuff you guys are doing there. And it sounds pretty exciting. And I think there's a lot of good nuggets here for people to leverage. So thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for listening to Startup Stories from the Treehouse. If you enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to like, follow, or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you found our conversation helpful, leave a review. It really helps other founders discover our show. For more insight and episode summaries, don't forget to subscribe to the Wildfire Labs Substack. We appreciate your support and can't wait to share more stories with you next time.